All right, I want to take a moment to welcome Ariel Ford, who's a really big deal in the relationship space. She's been featured all over. She's written multiple books about how to find your soulmate. Welcome to the show, Ariel.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So, why don't you just take a minute and explain a little bit about what you do, and I guess we can just kind of take it organically from there.
Sure. Well, I was a first-time bride at the age of 44, and it all came about when I decided that I had pretty much forgotten to get married, and I wanted to manifest a soulmate. And I had this idea that I had been working with the law of attraction at that point for about 12 years, and I was very successful with it. I had built a very big business. Back in those days, I was a book publicist, and my clients were Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer,
Big
Marianne
deals. Very big
Williamson,
people, yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh, Louise Hay, Don Miguel Ruiz, pretty
So
much
now you're just
everybody.
showing off. Now you're just
Just
showing.
showing off, yeah. But I had done that using the law of attraction. I had built this huge career. And I had this thought, well, I wonder if I can take the same principles, the same processes and prayers and rituals that I used to create this amazing business. Would it work on my love life? And I didn't know. It was a big experiment. But it turned out that it did. It worked extraordinarily well and didn't even take that long. And as I said, I got married at the age of 44. And what quickly happened was that I became like the poster child for single women over 40.
Uh,
They all started asking me, hey, I want a Brian. How do I get a Brian? And I would share my process with them, and then it would work for them. And eventually it became a book, and then the book was translated into 21 languages in 40 countries around the world. And the Soulmate Secret process has now worked for tens of thousands of men and women all over the world. So I know this stuff works, and it's not hard, but what it does require is that you commit to putting in a little time and energy and intention and attention onto your love life. And if you're willing to do that, I can totally show you how to do it.
yeah, it's really interesting that you brought up the law of attraction because immediately, so when I started looking into your background, this is something that really stuck out to me because I remember when I met my wife back when we were dating, we were on the phone having a conversation, and I remember just asking a simple question. I was like, hey, what are you up to? And she said, oh, I'm watching The Secret. And I'm like, what's that? And so she was explaining it all to me, and I was like, oh, that sounds kind of dumb. Like who would ever believe that? So it happened to be on Netflix at the time, and I watched it, and I was just blown away by it. And I've actually tried out some of the more the visualization techniques
Uh-huh.
and found that they're oddly very effective. So I kind of wanted to dive into that and maybe talk a little
Well,
bit about,
sure.
yeah, go for
Sure.
it.
Well, let's do that. And what I want to say is that while The Secret gave some of the tools on how to manifest with the law of attraction,
Yeah.
they left out what I call the secret sauce. And you just mentioned it. So one of the pieces of what they taught was visualization.
Mhm.
But visualization only happens in your head. It happens in your brain. And true, really big, giant manifestation happens from your heart. So I have created a technique that I call a feelingization. And it's a guided meditation where I take you from your head to your heart, put you into a state of love and gratitude, and then we drop in your desires of what you want to have manifest. And it's much more powerful, and it works much faster and better than just pretty pictures inside your head. Because what happens is when you put a pretty picture inside your head, let's just make something up. Let's say you want a convertible bright blue BMW car,
Okay.
and you can see yourself driving down I-95, in this beautiful car. But your emotional being says to you, I don't have the money, I don't deserve it, I don't believe I'll ever get it, which cancels out all the pretty
Right,
pictures.
right.
So a feelingization, which is the secret sauce to the soulmate secret, is what will get you there. And I offer these feelingizations for free on my website. So if anybody goes to soulmatesecret.com, there's a little tab called free stuff, and they can get them there.
Yeah, I've actually found the tab. So what I'll do is make sure that I link to it
Okay.
in the show notes. But
Okay.
so the feelingization, I imagine you've said multiple people have tried your techniques and it's worked for them.
Mhm.
Let's switch gears and talk about some of the testimonials you've gotten using the law of attraction, specifically this feeling visualization thing. I just want to, I guess, give people some hope to realize that they're not alone, and this actually works.
Oh, it completely works. So the law of attraction states we draw to us the people, places, and experiences that match our state of being. So if your state of being is, I'm beautiful, I'm lucky in love, I'm a loving, kind person, I'm deserving of love, I'm surrounded by love, your daily experience, for the most part, is going to be just that. If your experience is, I'm unlucky in love, I'm undeserving of love, nobody loves me, I'm the world's biggest loser when it comes to love, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too damaged, all the good ones are taken. If that's the frequency at which you're vibrating, that too will be the experience that you have. So the most important part of the law of attraction, well, there's several. The first most important part is that you have clarity, that you know precisely what it is you want to manifest and how you're going to feel having that desire met. Number one most important thing. The number two thing is getting to a place where you truly believe and feel in every cell of your body that what you've asked for is already yours. So the law of attraction is not for children, and it's not for wimps and wusses and people who are victims, because it requires that you pull on your big girl panties and your big boy pants, and you act as an emotionally mature adult, and you manage your thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And this is the mistake a lot of people make, because A, they believe every thought that they have. You know, the thought is, oh, it's too late for me. And then they believe it, and it's not true. All right. Or they have feelings, oh, I was so hurt before, I'm only going to get hurt again. As opposed to, okay, yes, I was hurt. We're all human. Everybody's been dumped and hurt. Okay, it's not personal to you. Now, how can I heal myself? Now, if they're smart, they're hanging out with you, Chris, and they're learning how to heal themselves.
Very, very smart, right?
Right?
Me and Ariel, we are the top. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, no, and this is why God invented coaches and therapists.
Right.
Because if we have a pattern and we only can attach love to pain and we keep repeating the pattern, well, you know that you can't fix it yourself. Get some help. You know, I always use this analogy. I'm the most untechnical person on the planet. So when my computer breaks down, I don't go get a screwdriver and try to fix it myself.
Right.
I call Steve, my tech guy, because he's a pro. So if you've had a broken heart over and over again, you've got a pattern. Go get Chris. Go get a shrink. Get some help before you put your attention on, well, I need a new soulmate. Because what tends to happen with patterns is they repeat themselves. Mm-hmm. And this isn't to blame anybody. All of us human beings have faults and wounds and stuff that needs to be healed. And there's no faster place to get healed than in relationship, because the person standing in front of you, part of their job is to reflect back to you all the places in which you need healing.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say hypothetically, I'm listening to this podcast and I'm obviously having... So, part of the thing I'm getting with the visualization and the law of attraction is you have to feel good. You have to feel the feelings that you want to be feeling in the future, potentially. Well, obviously, someone who's going through a breakup is not feeling those feelings.
No, but you can, okay?
Which is kind of what I'm gearing towards. How can someone feel that?
Gratitude, okay? So we all have things that we're grateful for. Maybe it's something that happened today or something that happened 20 years ago. So in these feelingizations, and like I said, they're for free on my website. You can go do them. What we do is we take you into your heart and we have you re-experience a feeling of gratitude. Okay? So we're not talking about the breakup. Maybe you're just grateful that you have this wonderful career, that, you have enough money to pay your rent and feed your kids. And you just decide, for these moments, with my eyes closed, with my attention on my heart, I'm going to re-experience feelings of gratitude. So we first get ourselves into a state of gratitude, and then we come up with something we are appreciative for. What do I appreciate? And then I have you remember a time when you felt love, not necessarily romantic love, but when you had some experience of love. Maybe it was a hug from a child, or maybe your dog crawled into your lap and you looked into each other's eyes. Pick a moment of love and re-experience in every cell of your body that moment of love. And then when you're there, when you're filling your own heart with gratitude and appreciation of love, from there, for a moment, you can drop in the desire, oh, I'm so grateful that God has another soulmate for me. And you don't need to know where they are or who they are. You can just be in the moment of possibility.
I love it. And I feel like as you were talking, I was trying to visualize it myself. I was just so drawn in. So it's something that really, really works. And I think the other interesting application is you can almost apply it to any other aspect of your life as well. So you can cultivate not just the relationships aspect of your life, but maybe your health, or if you
can do it with
big.
money.
Yeah.
Especially when you're having money issues. So it's really easy to go into lack. I'm missing. Oh, there's not enough money. I don't have enough money. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And you're in the future projecting, oh my God, oh my God. As opposed to if you want to drop into your heart and say, in this moment, I have everything that I need. I have fresh air to breathe. I have clean water to drink. There are people, family and friends who love me. I have a chair to sit in. I have a computer. I have a cell phone. In this moment, I have everything that I need. And if you can put yourself into that feeling of the abundance of what you have in this moment, from there you can drop into the desire, oh, wouldn't it be lovely if some unexpected money came my way? Or I'm so abundant that I know that the money always comes. Because what happens is we want to know where it's coming from. Yeah. But it doesn't matter where it's coming from. What matters is that we're open and receptive and in the knowing space that, yes, I am already abundant and more abundance is mine. Now, this actually ties in with the proper way to pray. So many of us in our various religions are taught to pray as a form of, asking God, give me this and give me that, and I need this and I need that. But in fact, the prayer that works the best is to say, dear God, I am so grateful for all the gifts that you give me every day. I am so grateful that I had breakfast this morning. I am so grateful that my parents are still alive to love me. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. So when you're coming from gratitude, you can get more of that as opposed to, I don't know what I'm going to do if you don't send me a new job.
Wow, that's such a mind-blowing technique, I guess. I've never even thought about it that way, and it's so true. People are always asking, especially when they're doing prayer or something, they're asking for things. And oftentimes when you ask for something, especially with the law of attraction, it doesn't necessarily happen unless you can get
and it doesn't happen because you have this belief that it's not going to happen anyway. Yeah. So you're just kind of like, well, if we can have a miracle of a burning bush and you prove it to me, God, you must prove it to me, then I'll be fortunate. As opposed to even when somebody's very sick, oh, dear God, I hope there's a cure for them. As opposed to, I'm so grateful that their soul and their spirit is wholly intact. And if it's in their highest and best good to recover their physical health, may it be so. As opposed to us trying to know what's in their best interest, but being grateful for what's so, which is even though the physical body may be deteriorating, the soul is always whole. And then being grateful for knowing and trusting that what is in their best good is occurring.
Now, the other question I had, let's say I'm listening and I'm sold on this idea of the law of attraction, and I'm sold on the visualization. How many times a day, let's say, should you visualize? Is there a set number, or is it unique to the situation?
So there's a paradox about the law of attraction. And the paradox is the word action is in attraction. Right. And we want to have clarity about what it is we're seeking to have happen. And we want to be very intentional about it. But at the same time, we must be trusting and surrendered and live in the knowingness. Now, this is the hard part, the knowingness that what we've asked for is already ours. Because as long as you have that it's missing, the only thing it can continue to do is be missing. So I'll explain this on another level. In quantum physics, they have proved something that goes by several names. Some call it the unified field, some call it the divine matrix. But in this unified field, there is no time. And this is what Einstein talked about, that time, the past, the present, and the future are all happening at once. So there's no past, there's no future, there is just now. And in this now moment, we are all connected to each other and to everything. On some unseen level, you and I, right now we're connected by Skype, but on a molecular level, on the unseen plane, we are all part of God. We are all part of the universe. We are the same oneness. So knowing that, you are already connected to your soulmate. And you can begin the relationship right now by having a silent conversation with them in your head. So you don't know their name, you don't know what day and time you're going to meet them on the physical 3D world. But from a heart level, on the unseen plane where we're all connected, you can begin the conversation. This is what I like to call love before first sight.
Yeah, I like that too. And I feel like so many people are geared towards, I have to see it to believe it, as opposed to thinking, I already have it, it just isn't here yet.
Right, and this is just a lack of education and a lack of awareness. So the hardcore black and white people, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, they're going to have a harder time. The people who are more connected on a heart level, on a spiritual level, that have some trust that God or the universe or whatever you call it, your higher power, when you believe that that power has your back and you have trust and faith, life gets much easier. Now, it may say, well, when I look back on my life, all I see is disaster. All I see is trouble. Because we find what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Now, it's not true that your entire past is a disaster. It's what you choose to focus on. All of us have had love in our life. It may not have been what we wanted or what we hope for in the future, but there have been people that do love us and have loved us. And there are people who have hurt us deeply and betrayed us. And that is also true. But as I said earlier, it's not a personal experience. It's part of the human experience. We've all been deeply wounded. The difference is who of us is going to say, okay, yes, I was hurt. Yes, I may never get over this hurt. And yes, I'm willing to say yes to love again. I'm willing to step forward and take baby steps because I am a loving being, because I am deserving of love, and because there's more than enough love in this world for everybody, even me.
And to your point about how sometimes when people are looking back at their experience and they're seeing only the bad and how there's also the good with the bad, it reminds me of that rule, the peak end rule, where when someone looks back at the relationship, they remember it from the peak of the relationship, the most exciting moment, and the end of the relationship. They forget all of the things that led up to the peak and the inevitable fall down. So it's easy for maybe our brains to process things in a quick manner like that, as opposed to...
Which is why I recommend getting out of your head and into your heart.
Yeah.
Because, the statistic is something like we have between 60 and 90,000 thoughts every day. And 90% of them are the same thoughts that we had yesterday. And it doesn't mean any of them are true. We just latch onto them. We go into a feedback loop of, oh my God, and we're terrorizing ourselves. And women are particularly adept at this. Well, if it happened before, it's going to happen again. And what if? As opposed to, well, what is? What's true for right now? Right now, you and I, who are just meeting for the first time, are sharing this amazing experience with God knows how many thousands of your fans
Right.
out there, where we get to know, you know how much love you have, I know how much I have love I have, and together we can exponentially increase it for everybody, because we are a field of love and they are in our field, therefore they're experiencing love.
And I think, just listening to you, you have such a positive vibe. I almost feel like whenever I've looked at people who have really pushed the law of attraction, they're just positive by nature. And is that almost a prerequisite?
My early childhood, I was a very sad, lonely, introverted, socially
not anymore, though. No, not anymore.
No, and I suffered from depression, which was part family history, part I had hypoglycemia that was undiagnosed. So I had all kinds of issues. And when I was in my late teens, I was suicidal. I was on tricyclic antidepressants. I was seeing psychiatrists. But one day at the age of 28, I made a radical choice in my life. I decided that I was no longer willing to suffer, and that I was going to commit my life to studying happy people, and I was going to become a happy person. And what I can tell you all these years later is that happiness is a choice. Now, it wasn't a choice when I was severely depressed and suicidal. I did need the drugs. I did need the therapeutic treatment. And I would recommend that anybody who is severely depressed get that kind of treatment. Yeah. But when you're on the other side of that, or at least when you're getting to neutral, happiness is a learned behavior. I know because I learned how to do it,
Well, you did a great job. I mean, everything about, even the background, it's like yellow, everything's happy. It's like the sun, for real.
And that's another choice, like I could have painted this room any color. I particularly do not like brown or beige or gray. I like vibrant colors. Why? Because I feel happier when I wear bright, vibrant colors. When you put me in beige, I feel blah.
Yeah, I feel.
And sometimes I tell women, if you're going out on a date, wear red underwear. You for sure you'll be the only one knowing you're wearing red underwear. But you know that there's something sexy to you that, oh my God, I've got my red undies on tonight,
Guys, don't do that. If you're listening, guys, don't do that. No, just kidding. No, but it's interesting that you said that, how you don't like brown and beige. I feel for me, it's more of a weather type thing. So I lived in Pennsylvania for a couple of years with my wife, and it was just miserable because it was snowing and cold all the time. And I had grown up my entire life in Texas, where it's hot and the sun's always out. I loved going outside. So is there something to that with the law of attraction? There's
a reason why I live in San Diego, because I grew up in South Florida. Now I don't like South Florida; it's too humid for me, and there's other things about it that don't work for me. But San Diego,
I'm in Central
perfect.
Florida right now, so it's still a little bit more humid, but not as bad as South Florida, I imagine. But I've heard San Diego is
pretty
beautiful.
Intense. Yeah, but everything impacts us. Our environment impacts us. So what can you do to make yourself happy? I mean, let's say you're stuck living in a northern climate for whatever reason. The whole family's there. Right. It's, whatever. You can paint your office bright yellow like I did. You can get sun lamps to make sure you don't get seasonal affective disorder. There are things that you can strategically do, but it requires awareness. And really knowing, well, what do I most need? Like my friend Marcy Shimoff wrote a great book called Happy for No Reason, really wonderful book. And she says the number one question to ask yourself every day is, what is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now? What is the most loving thing I can do for myself right now?
I think just... If you're asking me personally, would probably be to go on a walk.
Me too.
I feel like I've been cooped up all day. I feel like just getting outside would be great. That would be the best thing. Yeah. So I guess it doesn't have to be big, right? So it doesn't have to be something big.
It doesn't need to be big at all. In fact, one of the things I teach my students is how to be a pleasure pig. So a pleasure pig is someone who, when they make their daily to-do list, the number one item is, how will I give myself pleasure today? So it could be anything from, well, this is girl stuff, but from getting your hair done, a manicure, a pedicure, a foot rub, taking a bubble bath, going for a walk, um, going out for drinks with the girls, laughing, all of those things give pleasure, eating some chocolate. And on the days when I don't have a lot of time or there's no time to go get a massage, I'll simply turn on my playlist and I'll listen to Andrea Bocelli sing the prayer. And I have 4 minutes of pleasure. So the idea is that every day, think of some small way to feed yourself pleasure. And it's really important for women to do this, particularly because women are so stressed out. They're worried about their careers and their kids and their aging parents and money and getting fat and working out and, time management. And what happens when women are stressed like this is they deplete the levels of oxytocin in their brain. Oxytocin, as you know, is the super glue of love, the bonding hormone, and it's essential. So when you become a pleasure pig, when you consciously choose to add pleasure to your life every day, all of those activities that I mentioned rebuild oxytocin.
I should give this interview to my wife.
Yes. And here's the thing for men. So when men get stressed out, they need to rebuild testosterone, not oxytocin.
Really? Fascinating.
So the fastest way for men to rebuild testosterone, this one's hysterical, is to chop wood.
Okay.
Working out will do it. Hanging out with the guys. And be sure to tell your wife, if you're really stressed out, she should hand you the remote control and your favorite drink and put you in a comfortable chair and let you watch sports.
You're my new favorite person. I wish I'd given you the interview yesterday. The Cowboys were playing yesterday, and it was like I had to convince her.
Watching sports is so good for a marriage. You have no idea because
I agree.
It builds testosterone. And while you're doing that, she, send her out, give her $50 and tell her to go get a manicure and a pedicure.
Perfect. Oxytocin and testosterone building at the same time. That's how you stay in a strong relationship right there.
Absolutely.
I love it. So a lot of people listening to this are going through breakups. They are for sure they're not in the frame of mind where they are maybe amenable to thinking positively. What are some of your best tips for them to reshape or have a paradigm shift in the way they view love, because they're really down on themselves right now?
It's a moment by moment thing. You really have to manage your thoughts and emotions, so if you are in a really big downward spiral, set your timer on your smartphone for 3 minutes and allow yourself to be as miserable as you can possibly be. Like, really go negative on the self-talk. I am the world's biggest loser. Nobody's ever going to love me. I'll never feel love again. I am doomed to spend the rest of my life as a cat woman. My life totally, completely sucks. And I promise you, if you do this with pure intention, you won't be able to do it for 3 minutes. You'll start to laugh because your rational brain is going to kick in because most of what you're saying to yourself isn't true.
Right.
Not true. But what it's done is it lets you be present to your misery, and it lets the pressure off like a pressure cooker. You let the steam off. And so once you've faced that, appears to be reality, then you can fill yourself up with loving thoughts. Go stand in front of a mirror, blow yourself a kiss, give yourself a hug, look into your own eyes and say, Ariel, you're a really kind, generous, loving person, and you really do deserve big love. And I'm sorry you suffered so much pain, but we're going to get through this together, and you are going to have new love once again. And just do that every day if you need to do it. But you have to do something. Hiding under the comforter is not the place to go for love. You know?
And I think a lot of the issues that I face with my audience is they become hyper obsessed with their ex. They either want him back, or they stalk him, or they...
Yes.
And like we were talking before we started recording about how breakups are kind of like addictions. They
are.
And you found this, well, I'll let you cite the statistic.
Yeah, so Dr. Helen Fisher, who's one of the world's leading love biologists, anthropologists, researchers at Rutgers University, and does extensive work looking at the brain and love, has discovered that for people who have been dumped, particularly, getting over that breakup is harder than overcoming a cocaine addiction. That's how strong it is. And some people never fully get over it, but it doesn't mean you can't have love in your life. But what it absolutely means is you must stop obsessing over this person. You must unfriend them, okay? You've got to stop stalking them. You need to get realistic. They're not coming back. Now, the other part of that no one ever tells you is this doesn't mean you have to stop loving them. So find a little corner of your heart where you can still love them and still appreciate what was good when you were together, but stop obsessing. Now, how does one stop obsessing? There's a woman named Dr. Pat Allen who has what she calls the Love Detox program. And this is particularly designed for people who are in very difficult abusive relationships, but it works across the board. So when you're going to put yourself in a love detox, first, you have to inform the person you're detoxing from that for the next 6 weeks, you're going to be dropping out completely. That means no phone calls, no emails, no texting, no drive-bys,
Right.
no seeing each other in person. You're going to be, every single one of your senses will be cut off and blocked from each other for 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's interesting. We on the website, we kind of call that the no contact rule. So,
Right.
you know, in the studies I've done, so a lot of people ask me, hey, what can I do to get my ex back? And so we recommend the same thing, even if they're trying to get their ex back. The only difference, though, is we don't inform them. It's just cold turkey right off the bat.
Right.
So far, the no contact rule for 6 weeks is step one of the love detox. What's
Right.
next?
Well, that's pretty much it, because at the end of 6 weeks, when a new habit has emerged,
Right.
you're now more freed up. Now, it's difficult for people who have shared kids to
Yeah,
follow this program.
exactly.
So your best bet is to find a good friend who will handle the handoff between the kids and step in for you, except in case of emergency, so that you can do your best to do it. Now, if at the end of the 6 weeks detox, what sometimes happens is that the person you're detoxing from misses the psychic energy of being connected to you. So they feel that you are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make an effort to get you back. And this is where people get really screwed up.
Yeah.
Because they don't really want you back. They're energetic vampires. They're emotional vampires, and they want to suck back into your energy. They want to reel you back in. But unless they've had, some deep counseling, chances are the behavior that happened before will happen again. So you have to really ask yourself, why do I want them back? Why would you want somebody who doesn't want you? Why would you want somebody who doesn't wake up in the morning totally happy to see you, devoted to you, committed to being your best friend, your partner, your lover for life, your biggest cheerleader, your safe place to land? Why would you go for that when you could move on, in spite of the pain, move on, and then manifest a soulmate who could be all of this for the rest of your life?
And it's really interesting that you brought this point up about how they're sort of energetic vampires, where they'll try to feed off the energy. And in fact, so one of the interesting things that I've done is I've taken all of these success stories of people who have actually gotten their ex back with the advice that I give, trying to figure out, well, what are they doing? And so we found exactly what you just said was actually one of the most effective ways to win an ex back, assuming someone wanted to get an ex back, was doing the no contact rule or doing this 6 week detox. And we found that really without them having to do too much at all, the other person starts wanting them back. So my own research using my audience has been exactly in line with what I forgot who came up with that Love Detox.
Her name is Dr. Pat Allen.
Dr.
She's
Pat.
in LA.
Well, it aligns just exactly with what she said.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, because Dr. Phil has this great line that we train people how to treat us.
Yeah.
So if there was a lot of bad behavior previously with them, and you didn't set up boundaries and you didn't communicate well and you allowed that behavior to exist, it's kind of foolish to think that anything's really going to change. Yes, they'll be on good behavior for the first few weeks.
Exactly.
Because they miss you too.
Right.
But at the end of the day, you're just, for most people, I'm sure you've seen some success stories, but for most people, you're setting yourself up.
I will admit, for most people, that is the case. In fact, I've had a few success stories where the people have gotten married and they're, still together and everything. But most people, I've had multiple cases where people are on again, off again, and it's just this endless cycle. And even though Dr. Phil said it, it's absolutely right. A lot of times, if you get back with the person, there's a change. There's an immediate change, but it doesn't last forever. Eventually, they fall back into old habits, and those habits are just what you kind of structure your relationship around. So and part of the problem with, there's two kind of ways of looking at it. Should you get your ex back? Should you not get your ex back? Well, one of the cons of getting your ex back is if you do succeed, oftentimes it takes two people to want to change. And even if you're willing to change and the other person isn't willing to change, it's almost pointless.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the value of couples counseling.
Yeah.
I've seen couples where there's been, massive betrayal. The husband was, or the wife, one of them was cheating like crazy, maybe even blatantly. But when both of them say, I'm willing to fight for this, I'm willing to give it everything I've got, I'm willing to be patient until you learn to trust me again, I'm willing to make amends, there's nothing but hope in that situation. But if you're the only one fighting for the relationship, that's exhausting.
Yeah. It's exhausting, and you can't ever keep it up forever, Yeah. Especially without any positive feedback from the other side.
Right.
So
and people do that because they don't believe that there's more love out there for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So they do it out of, I'd rather have what's old and comfortable, even if it's painful, as opposed to, the two options are, I'll have a great rest of my life on my own, filled with love and friends and adventure, and I'll have a great life and I'll manifest somebody who is really loving and kind and devoted to me, which is the real possibility for most people in the world. And I want to tell you why it's a real possibility. Because right now there are 7.2 billion people alive on this planet. 7.2 billion. That's a number bigger than I can conceive of.
Yeah.
Half of these people, Chris, are single.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's a lot of people.
So to think that, you're the only one that God has selected to never be happy and never have a partner is really a testament to the size of your ego.
Yeah.
The truth is, there are plenty of potential mates out there for you, regardless of your age, your weight, your income level, your past history, whether or not you're missing a leg or an arm or both. There is love for everybody. And I know that because I've been doing this a long time and I've seen it happen.
Well, also you're your own success story too. It's the principles that applied for your life worked, and you're just passing it on. And obviously you've become an expert in the field, which is a perfect segue. So Ariel Ford, why don't you tell us a little bit about where people can find you and the special offer that you have for them?
Sure. So there's two things. If you go to my website, soulmatesecret.com, and sign up under free stuff, you can get the feelingizations and videos and other goodies there. Or I also am offering free chapters right now to my newest book called Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. So you can stay connected to me. Every Tuesday I send out an amazing newsletter with lots of love tips in it. And if you want to work with me, I have a 7-week online course that will I'll just take you by the hand and walk you step by step on how to manifest a soulmate over 7 weeks. And that's at a website called soulmatepassion.com, soulmatepassion.com.
And I'll link to all of these for her.
Right. And then we do have that course, the Soulmate Passion course. Actually, you're going to give them a link. So click on the link that Chris gives you for this course, because it's going on sale right now.
Exactly.
And you want to get it at this special price. It'll be on sale. Let me see if I can find the date. Until December 22nd. So now through December 22nd, it's It's an amazing deal, and click on the link that Chris gives you.
Yeah, I can't express enough how much we appreciated having you on the show, but also make sure you click on this link, people. December 22nd, you want to get it, you know?
Yeah, if you want your 2017 to be the year of your soulmate, this is the way to do it.
I think everyone listening to this podcast will have that if they get this course.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It was great talking to you.